Welcome and hello. You just finished working on the notes for additive relationships and just really going back over all of the multiple representations that we use. If you'll turn this over to the back, there are some problems here. Go ahead and work the problem out, and then afterwards turn it back on or unpause it and then listen and see if you can check your work. Okay, this one says analyze the table below. You have X and Y, 17 to 21, 20 to 24, 24 to 28, 25 to 29. So it's not growing a whole lot. So you can tell it's not multiplicative, right? Or not with these numbers, right? And then which of the following statements describe the relationship between X and Y? So he has the value of X is 4.5 more than Y. The value of Y is 4.5 more than X. The value of Y is 4.5 less than X. The value of Y is 4.5 times greater. So these statements here, we're going to come back to them in a little bit, but we're trying to find that relationship between X and Y. In other words, what happens between the input and the output? Well, it appears to be an additive one. So I'm going to do 21.5, and I'm going to subtract 17.0. Remember, if it's a whole number, you have to add a decimal and a 0. When I subtract here, make sure your decimals are lined up. I have 5, borrow from here, and now 11 minus 7 is 4. So it's 4.5. You see that number in every one of the problems. So it's subtracting 4.5. I'm sorry, adding. Sorry, I subtracted to find the answer, but 17 plus 4.5 is 21.5. And you can see here 24.5 minus 20 would give you a 4.5. You can verify with other numbers, right? So 28.5 minus 24, so sorry, subtracting, and that, sure enough, it gives you 4.5. So I can show it also by adding. Let's do 25.0 and add the 4.5. See here, and sure enough, it is 20. If I add 4.5 to this number, it'll get 29.5. So we definitely know it's adding. So it's more than. And more than, both of those say more than. So it's definitely not less than, so it can't be C. And it's definitely not times, so it can't be D. But now look at what it's got, X and Y. So the value of Y is more than the value of X. So Y is the one that's more than, not X. So be careful with these kinds of problems when it has just the same exact thing, but the letters are reversed. Really pay attention and verify. Yes, Y is 4.5 more than X is. So it has to be that one. It cannot be this one. Okay, try the next one on your own. Remember, you can have me read it and then you can go back through on your own. So here we have which table shows the values that represent the following relationship between G and B. So you have G is equal to B plus 5.58. So again, these look kind of weird, but remember, this is your Y and this is your X, and we're adding to it. So here's like the X and here's the Y. And so if I take this X and I add 5.5, I'll get this Y value. And sure enough, I can see that if I add 4 plus 5 and 5/8, there's no fraction here for the 4. So you just add the 5/8 here, and then 4 plus 5 is 9. So even though this might look intimidating, it's actually very simple, right? This one checks out. And then 6 plus 5 is 11, and then the 5/8, so that one checks out. 7 plus 5 is 12, not 13, so it cannot be A. How about this one? 1 plus 5, if I add this X value, I add a 5 to it, the Y should come out to 6. 1 plus 5 is 6, not 5. So already just with the first one, it negates the entire table. The next one, 3 plus 5 would be 8, not 5. So let's check and make sure that all of these check out. 6 plus 5 is 11, so it would be 11 and 5/8. 7 plus 5 is 12. We have that, and 8 plus 5 is 13. So this is the one that's correct. Okay, it looks kind of creepy and really difficult, but when you start looking at it and breaking it down and just asking those common sense questions, there's no way that these would work. So you know it would have to be that one. Moving on to the next one, Mario and Jennifer are both taking road trips home for the holidays. Mario lives 125 miles farther than Jennifer. Which of the following equations represents the relationship between Mario's total driving distance, M, and Jennifer's driving distance, J? So again, Mario lives 125 miles farther, so we're going to depend on his distance is going to depend on how far hers is. So you can kind of make a little chart here and say, okay, well, this one's Jennifer and this one's Mario, right? If Jennifer lived 10 miles away, and it says 125, but you see the numbers here, it should be 12.5. I should have pointed that out earlier, so 12.5. He doesn't live 125, it's 12.5. So if she lives 10 miles and we add 12.5, right, then he would, if you add 12.5 plus 10, you would have 22.5. That's how far he has to go. What if she lived 20 miles away? Well, then you would do 20.0 and 12.5. And he would live 32.5. So you see, whatever his distance is, it's based on hers, right? It's 12.5 more than what her distance is. So then you're going to have Mario's distance. That's your y value. So you know it's going to be y equals x plus b. So we have the m equals the x is a j, and it's plus 12.5, right? We match what's written here, or this should technically be a j, right, instead of the x. So that's what we're looking for, and there it is, m equals j. Now be careful, because it's got, see, subtracting. He doesn't live less than her. And then here it's got the letters switch. It says that her distance is whatever his distance is plus 12.5 more. No, that's not what it says. It says he lives 12.5 more. And then this one, a number and a letter stuck together means multiply. This is, we're not doing multiplication here. So it's not that one, can't be that one. And this one's subtracting, so it makes it wrong. So it's definitely this one. And we also checked it by writing our own equation. And the last one, it says, which tables show the values that represent the following relationship between z and k? Remember, relationship is basically saying what happens here. So here, it's a number and a letter stuck together. The number is 4.5. That's a mixed number. And there's a letter. So this is a multiplication one, okay? So they kind of threw a little, monkey wrench in here. And so all of these are additive, but this one's multiplicative. So now you're here, you're going to say that the letter z, this one right here, is 4.5 times whatever the letter k is. So let's start with the letter k and multiply it by whatever 4.5 is to see if we get this answer. Well, first of all, I'm going to just change this to 4.5. It's easier to multiply with decimals, right? And so I'm going to say this number 10 times 4.5. So 4.5 times 10, right? 0 times 5, 0 times 4. You could just have put a 0 there, right? And then you put your other 0, 1 times 5, 1 times 4. If you add those, you get 450. There's one decimal place, so it's 45. Oh, look at that. That's 40.5, not 45. It should be 45. So this one is wrong. Let's try 3 times 4.5. And I'm going to use some of the space down here. 4.5 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more, 13. And one decimal place. So it's 13.5, not 12.5. So it can't be this one. So we've already eliminated 2 just by checking the first one. And I can see here, I know that 4.5 times 2 is 9, or 4.5, because I know that half of 9 is 4.5. But if you want to verify, 2 times 5, 10, and 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more, 1 decimal place. Sure enough, it works for that one. And then here we have 4 times 4.5. So let's do 4.5 times 4. Remember, if I'm in a different space, if you need to use other spaces, that's okay. 4 times 5 is 20. Put a 0, carry the 2. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 more, 18, and 1 decimal place. So this one's checking out. Let's check and see the others, because it has to work for all of them. So then we have now here 6 times 4.5. So put 4.5 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. Put a 0 and carry the 3. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 3 is 27. And then 1 decimal place. It's working out so far. One more. 4.5 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Put a 0 and carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Plus 4 more is 36, and there's 1 decimal place. So this one definitely checks out. And you can see that even though these two are the same, look right here at this one. Look at the 4. We just did 4.5 times 4, and we found that it was 18. This is the correct one. See how here they have 8.5? So that you can go back and look at what you already have to just verify and make sure, yep, this one's definitely wrong. So the answer is H. All right, so there you have that. This is a good review for your test. These are the types of problems that you will see on your test. All right, thank you so much.